Every day, millions of people unknowingly strengthen the very thing that weakens them. They wake up tired, their minds are restless, their emotions unpredictable, and their cravings never seem to end. They blame stress, bad luck, or aging. But what if the true enemy isn't outside of you? What if it is sitting quietly in your stomach, being fed by the one food you consume almost every single day? Ancient wisdom has always taught that the body is not just flesh. It is the home of your spirit. And when you feed your body without awareness, you may also be feeding the darkness that thrives on your weakness. Today, you will discover why one simple daily habit could be stealing your peace, your discipline, and your inner power, and how to reclaim all three. Most people believe that every battle they fight begins in the mind. They tell themselves, if only I could think more positively, if only I had more willpower, if only I could silence these thoughts. But have you ever noticed how difficult it is to maintain a peaceful mind when your body is constantly demanding something? Before the mind even has a chance to choose wisely, the body is already shouting. It is already craving, already restless, already searching for satisfaction. This is why the first battlefield is not your thoughts. It is your stomach. The stomach is more than a place where food is digested. It is where habits are reinforced. It is where impulses are rewarded or challenged. Every time you eat without awareness, every time you reach for something simply because it is familiar, comforting, or impossible to resist, you teach your entire being a silent lesson. You teach yourself that every desire deserves an immediate response. Over time, this becomes more than a habit. It becomes your nature. This is what I mean when I speak of the demon living in the stomach. It is not a creature hiding inside your body. It is the force of unconscious desire. It is that voice that whispers, just one more bite. It is the feeling that tells you that satisfaction is always one meal away, one snack away, one craving away. Yet notice what happens after you obey it. The satisfaction disappears almost as quickly as it arrived, and the craving returns stronger than before. Anything that can never be satisfied is not serving you. It is using you. Ancient wisdom has always warned us about this cycle. The greatest prison is not built with walls. It is built with repeated indulgence. Every time you surrender without awareness, another invisible chain is added. Eventually, you no longer choose your actions. Your habits choose them for you. You believe you are making decisions, but in reality, your cravings have already decided long before your mind catches up. Think about how often people eat while distracted. They eat while watching television, scrolling through their phones, driving, working, or worrying. The meal disappears, yet they barely remember tasting it. This is not nourishment. This is automation. When awareness disappears, discipline disappears with it. And where discipline fades, every other weakness quietly grows stronger. The body and the mind are not separate kingdoms. They constantly influence one another. A body that is constantly overstimulated teaches the mind to become impatient. A stomach that is never allowed to experience even a little emptiness teaches the heart to fear discomfort. Soon, this pattern extends beyond food. The same person who cannot resist unnecessary eating often struggles to resist unnecessary anger, unnecessary spending, unnecessary distractions, and unnecessary words. The habit is always the same. The object simply changes. This is why true strength cannot begin with complicated philosophies. It begins with simple awareness. Before you ask whether your mind is disciplined, ask whether your stomach is. Before you try to master your thoughts, learn to observe your impulses without immediately obeying them. The moment you can pause between the craving and the action, you begin reclaiming your freedom. Because every battle you win against unconscious desire is the first step toward mastering yourself. Now, once you understand that the first battlefield is not the mind but the body, you begin to see something even more subtle. There are certain foods that never truly satisfy you. They promise comfort, pleasure, or energy, yet shortly after consuming them, they ask for more. This is not nourishment, it is a cycle. And every time you participate in that cycle without awareness, you strengthen the part of yourself that depends on constant stimulation. Notice how nature works. When you eat a simple, wholesome meal, your body eventually becomes calm. Hunger fades, your breathing slows, and there is a sense of completion. But many of the foods that dominate modern life are different. They are crafted to be irresistible. They overwhelm the senses with intense sweetness, excessive salt, artificial flavors, and endless combinations that keep your attention fixed on the next bite. Instead of bringing peace, they awaken a restless appetite. This is why I speak of one daily food, not because there is only a single ingredient responsible for every problem, but because so many people repeatedly choose foods that are highly processed and engineered to keep them craving more. The real danger is not one occasional meal. The danger is the unconscious repetition. When something becomes part of your everyday life without your awareness, it begins to shape your character. Have you ever opened a package intending to eat only a little, only to realize a few moments later that it is empty? During those moments, where was your awareness? You did not consciously choose every bite. You simply followed momentum. That is how unconscious habits grow. They do not arrive with force. They arrive through repetition so quiet that you hardly notice them. The same force that convinces you to take another bite also whispers in other areas of life. It tells you to postpone difficult work. It tells you to seek another distraction. It tells you to avoid silence because silence forces you to meet yourself. This is why cravings are never just about food. They reveal the condition of the mind. A restless appetite often reflects a restless spirit. Many people believe freedom means having unlimited choices. But unlimited choice without discipline becomes another form of slavery. If every craving controls your next action, then who is truly leading your life? The person who cannot say no to a simple desire will eventually struggle to say no to larger temptations as well. Self-mastery is never built in extraordinary moments. It is built during ordinary decisions that nobody else sees. This does not mean food should become your enemy. Food is meant to sustain life, not become an object of fear. The problem begins when eating is no longer about nourishing the body, but about constantly feeding the need for stimulation. When every emotion is answered with another snack, another sugary drink, another processed meal, the stomach never learns contentment. It only learns expectation. And expectation grows into dependence. Try a simple experiment. The next time you feel a strong craving, do not immediately satisfy it. Pause for 1 minute. Observe what is happening within you. Notice how quickly the mind begins negotiating. It creates excuses. It says, just this once. It promises tomorrow will be different. Watch these thoughts without following them. In that brief moment of observation, something remarkable happens. You discover that the craving is not you. It is only a passing impulse asking for permission. When you stop giving every impulse immediate permission, you begin reclaiming authority over your own life. Each conscious choice weakens the old pattern and strengthens the quiet voice of wisdom that has always been within you. Eventually, what once felt impossible becomes natural. You no longer eat because a craving commands you. You eat because your body truly needs nourishment. And that is the moment when desire stops leading your life and awareness takes its rightful place. Once you begin observing your cravings instead of obeying them, another truth quietly reveals itself. Every bite you take is doing far more than filling your stomach. It is becoming part of you. It is shaping your energy, influencing your emotions, and even affecting the way you meet the world. We often separate food from our thoughts, as if one belongs to the body and the other belongs to the mind. But the body and the mind are constantly speaking to each other. They are partners in everything you experience. Think about the days when you feel unusually heavy, distracted, or impatient. Many people immediately blame their circumstances. They blame difficult people, demanding work, or lack of sleep. Sometimes those things play a role. But have you ever paused to ask what you have been feeding yourself consistently? Your body is always responding to what you repeatedly give it. Just as a tree cannot bear healthy fruit if its roots are poisoned, a peaceful mind struggles to grow from a body that is constantly overwhelmed. The food you choose does not simply disappear after you swallow it. It becomes energy. That energy influences your movement, your focus, and your resilience. When your body is burdened by excess, your mind often feels burdened as well. When your body is nourished with simplicity and balance, your thoughts tend to become clearer. This is not about chasing perfection. It is about recognizing that every daily choice quietly shapes tomorrow's version of yourself. Many people are searching for peace through meditation while ignoring the way they nourish their bodies. They seek calm through books, videos, or inspiring words, yet continue filling themselves with whatever is most convenient. Then they wonder why their minds remain restless. Imagine trying to keep a clear lake while constantly pouring mud into the water. No matter how beautiful the surroundings are, the water cannot reflect the sky until the source of the disturbance changes. This is why awareness must extend beyond the meditation cushion. It must enter the kitchen. It must sit beside you at the table. Every meal becomes an opportunity to practice consciousness. Instead of asking only, "Does this taste good?" begin asking, "How will this make me feel an hour from now? How will it influence my energy? Will it support the person I am trying to become?" These questions are powerful because they shift your attention from immediate pleasure to lasting consequence. The unconscious mind always seeks what feels good now. The awakened mind considers what creates strength later. This single shift transforms eating from an act of impulse into an act of intention. Notice how different your relationship with food becomes when you slow down. You begin tasting rather than consuming. You begin appreciating rather than rushing. Gratitude naturally replaces excess because you are no longer trying to fill an emptiness that food was never meant to satisfy. You discover that satisfaction is not found in quantity but in presence. There is another trap that many people fall into. They believe that because something is popular, it must also be beneficial. Modern life celebrates speed and convenience. Meals are often chosen because they are quick, cheap, or endlessly available. Yet convenience is not always nourishment. What saves you a few minutes today may quietly steal your vitality over many years. Wisdom asks a different question. It asks not what is easiest, but what truly serves your life. Remember, the goal is not to fear food or to become obsessed with every bite. Extremes are simply another form of imbalance. The goal is to cultivate a relationship with your body based on respect rather than addiction. When you respect your body, you naturally choose what strengthens it more often than what weakens it. That decision, repeated day after day, becomes a quiet expression of self-respect. Over time, these small choices begin to influence every other area of your life. The clarity you build through conscious nourishment appears in your conversations. The patience you develop at the table follows you into moments of conflict. The discipline you practice with food strengthens your ability to remain calm under pressure. You realize that nothing exists in isolation. Every conscious act supports another. When you nourish your body with wisdom instead of impulse, you are no longer feeding chaos. You are feeding the strength that has been waiting within you all along. As your awareness grows, you begin to recognize something that changes everything. Not every hunger comes from the body. In fact, much of what people call hunger has very little to do with the need for food. The stomach may send a signal when it is empty, but the heart and the mind can create signals of their own. Loneliness feels like hunger. Stress feels like hunger. Anxiety feels like hunger. Boredom feels like hunger. Disappointment feels like hunger. If you never learn to tell the difference, you will spend your life trying to feed emotional emptiness with physical food. Think about how often people say, "I need something sweet after a difficult day," or "I deserve this because life has been hard." Listen carefully to those words. They are rarely about nourishment. They are about relief. The food becomes a temporary escape from feelings that seem uncomfortable to face. For a few moments, the mind is distracted. The pain grows quiet. The emotions seem distant. But when the moment passes, the original problem remains. And now it is joined by regret. The hunger returns because it was never physical in the first place. This is one of the oldest illusions of the human experience. We search outside ourselves for a solution to something that exists within us. We believe one more meal, one more dessert, one more comforting bite will finally bring peace. Yet peace cannot be swallowed. It cannot be purchased. It cannot be found at the bottom of a bowl or inside a package. Peace is created by learning to remain present with yourself, even when your emotions are asking you to run. Many people fear silence because silence introduces them to what they have been avoiding. When the television is turned off, when the phone is put away, when there is no distraction left, they suddenly meet their own thoughts. For some, that meeting feels uncomfortable. Instead of listening to what the heart is trying to say, they reach for food, entertainment, or endless activity. Anything that prevents them from sitting quietly with themselves. But consider this carefully. Every emotion carries a message. Stress tells you something in your life requires attention. Loneliness reminds you of your need for meaningful connection. Sadness asks you to acknowledge loss. Anxiety invites you to examine what you cannot control. If you silence every message with food, you never hear what your life is trying to teach you. The strongest person is not the one who never feels emotional pain. The strongest person is the one who can feel discomfort without immediately trying to escape it. This is where real discipline is born. Discipline is not forcing yourself to suffer. Discipline is remaining present long enough to understand what is truly happening inside you. The next time you feel an overwhelming urge to eat, pause before reaching for anything. Ask yourself one simple question. What am I really hungry for? You may discover that what you truly need is rest, not another meal. Perhaps you need forgiveness instead of sugar. Perhaps you need a conversation instead of another snack. Perhaps you need to step outside, breathe deeply, and remember that not every uncomfortable feeling demands an immediate solution. At first, this practice may feel unfamiliar because the mind has been trained to react automatically. It wants quick answers. It wants instant comfort. But every time you pause, you interrupt an old pattern. You create space between the feeling and your response. In that space, wisdom begins to speak. And wisdom is always quieter than impulse. Do not judge yourself if you recognize these patterns within your own life. Awareness is not about guilt. Guilt keeps you trapped in the past. Awareness gives you the power to choose differently in the present. The moment you notice that you have been feeding your emotions instead of understanding them, is the very moment change becomes possible. You no longer have to be controlled by every feeling that passes through you. You can observe it, learn from it, and let it move on without giving it authority over your actions. When you stop using food to silence your emotions, you finally give your heart the chance